Thank you for coming down. It's so exciting.
Tom, I am so excited to be here. That's the first time I've been here.
It is. The WFMU studio. You had never made it down, but You're here at this is the right place at the right time.
What is that? You say long time listener, first time visitor?
It's something like that. Yeah,
that's
usually
what they say.
Yeah. That's usually the scariest thing that somebody working in radio could ever hear. Long-time listener, first-time visitor. Like, no, you're just supposed to call me. I'm not supposed to
I just
see
showed
you.
up.
Yeah. Like, no, please. It's scary, though.
You know, I was sitting here listening to, I was listening to this show, and you were talking about Liam Neeson hosting The Tonight Show.
Uh-huh.
And it really is true that was a much more common thing back in the day. And I think it would be fun if people did it more now. I think we've gotten out of it.
It's so regimented now with these things where you just know. Like, the idea of people getting bumped is like a foreign concept now.
Yeah,
because it used to be these talk shows. It would be just like, yeah, it's going well. Just keep them out, keep them out there.
Yep.
It's crazy. Let him just go for another segment. And then just some comedian is backstage finding out just, don't know how to tell you this. It's
Cliff Robertson went long.
Cliff Robertson, yeah. Cliff Robertson, he caught fire on that. And The Tonight Show was 90 minutes long.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to think. Now, look, it is perfectly easy now in 2015 to be like, Johnny Carson was the king of show business, the master of the talk show. Mm-hmm. I defy anybody. Just go, if you went to the Paley Center and you picked August 19th, 1978, you'd be like, oh my God.
Really?
This is the most boring thing I've ever
Sometimes
seen.
you watch it out. Like, yeah, we tend to look at them with rose-colored lenses. I remember one time watching when he had a guest host. The guest host was Tony Danza, and he was interviewing Jerry Cooney, the fighter.
Uh-huh.
And I remember watching this show because I was away for a speech tournament.
Okay.
And I was watching the show with a kid that I was in high school, and the kid said that I was watching the show with said, if you could somehow take the intelligence in this interview and harness it, you might be able to toast some bread. Which I thought was a pretty good joke for a high school.
Yeah. And it's also
accurate
and weirdly energy forward. Thinking that just like utilizing the brain power of Tony Danza and Jared. Not to look, Tony Danza by all rights seems like a
decent guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody loves Tony Danza.
And that's a tough gig. You're coming in and you're interviewing somebody, and you're interviewing Jerry Cooney, who I imagine is probably a pretty nice guy too.
Yeah.
But
look, the reason I'm saying this because Tony Danza,
long time
lives
listener,
in New York, and it's just like
no time visitor.
There's a good chance somebody'd be like, hey, Tony, they're talking about you on the radio.
Yes.
Next thing, he's in a car.
Next thing, I'll show you bread. I'll toast your face.
Yeah.
I'll stomp you.
So he would have. Yeah, and so Tony, but what's that call like when all of a sudden Tony, it's like the call comes in. Hey, Tony, you interested in doing the Tonight Show for a week? Yeah, I'll do it.
Of course. By the way, Tony Danza does everything.
Well, yeah, now he's
a song and dance man.
Yeah, he's like an old-fashioned showbiz dude.
It's great.
Yeah.
There's not many of those guys.
No, there's Tony Danza, Neil Patrick Harris.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman is totally one of those guys where he can go from like Wolverine
to Peter Allen.
To Peter, that is like, how many people do you think saw Boy from Oz? Like, how many, like, X-Men super fanatics?
What's the crossover in that Venn diagram?
Of just, like, it's Hugh Jackman. It's Wolverine. He's in the theater. I got to get tickets.
He's playing Peter Allen.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I don't know what it is. All I know, he's in that thing from the beginning to the end. I got to see it. And then it's just like,
huh?
Oh boy, I don't know what I'm seeing here. And then, yeah, I would love to see if that theater had like Dear Schubert Theater, I would like to lodge a complaint.
I attended the show, the matinee performance of Boy from Oz. But what would be that crossover? The guys that went there as Wolverine fanatics saw Boy from Oz, walked out and said, that guy can do anything.
Yeah, but that guy can do anything.
He can do anything.
He really can.
Yeah.
Like he's like one of those classic. Like you have to be. It's like, what would you call it? It's like in baseball it would be you're a five tool player. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like to be able to. Because the trick to me with that is to be able to be yourself in a situation which is the fakest situation ever, where you're saying like, hey, it's me, Hugh Jackman, and I'm up here doing this. It's like, you're not Hugh Jackman when you're up there doing those things. Like when you have to do those things, Paul Rudd, when you go and like you have to, on an award show and you have to like be you.
Yeah, I can't.
But it's not, you have to assume a version of yourself? Is that what that's like?
I guess I just try not to. I just try and read the prompter. That's all. I mean, I'm so nervous that I can't. Also my vision's kind of crummy. Yeah, but you're playing a role essentially. Yeah. You're not yourself when you're in front of people anyway.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you're a comedian or something.
Yeah.
That's Timberlake is another guy I think that falls into that category.
Who can do that?
Do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not Justin Timberlake.
The
Mike Timberlake.
Mike Timberlake. I thought you were going to say the producer Timberlake.
Timberland.
Timberland.
He's I think it might be Timbaland.
Timbaland. Yeah.
Yeah.
He liked the shoes so much. I want to be called that forever.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing is? You talk about that version of being yourself. It's like when Donald Trump does, like when he'll be reading off of a teleprompter, he'll be insane. But he does this thing where he goes, because what he's reading is supposed to be coming from him, but he'll do this thing where he is maybe like strangely dumb enough, like not smart enough to realize and commit to it. He'll go like children are the future and that is who we should help out. That's true. He'll comment
on
the thing.
Like he's discovering it as he's saying it.
Yeah, like he's endorsing the thing that's supposed to come from his mouth. It's like, no, you didn't need to step outside of that stupid and just now become like, oh, so you're endorsing that statement.
So you're agreeing with yourself.
Yeah. A lot of times I think about cities, and New York City is the greatest city ever. That's true.
I agree with that.
Oh, and I guess he's. Did he announce he's running for president?
I saw that he announced that he's running for president today. Right? Was it today that he did it?
I guess so. That will be. Like that can't like he can't go to like a diner and eat pie and stuff. Like what's he do? Does he just assume like, look, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not meeting any of these animals.
What do you suppose is the thinking behind it? What's the reason? Is it just ego? Is it just because, is it amusing to him? If it's amusing to him, that's actually kind of funny, right?
If he was doing some sort of like
performance art.
Yeah, like the magic Christian thing where he's just going to use all his money and start manipulating America into this weird version of itself.
I kind of don't think that's what it is.
No, I don't think so.
It's delusional.
Yeah, he actually thinks he is going to like be president. But then I went to Atlantic City last weekend, and there's just there's the casino that used to say Trump on it, and you just see the silhouette of where it used to be because it's empty now. It's just like the giant logo that said Trump is like, it's shaped like it was before, but it's just the stain of it now, the weather-worn stain. Oh, Atlantic City's spooky now. It's so spooky. There's like...
Now?
Well, because at one point... At least all of the casinos were in business.
They were
now.
It's true. What is it? How many are there now? One.
I think 4 went out. Mike,
I haven't been there in years.
Yeah, Mike just said a bunch of them are out now. That's. Come on, Mike. You got to step it up. Revel. There's this one that opened like 3 years ago, as high in the sky as you can believe, with a giant golf ball on the roof, and it was in business, and it went out in like under 2 years, and it's so New Jersey now might have like there's Revel, and then there's like Xanadu. Have you ever passed Xanadu on the?
No.
Oh well. Do you know what Xanadu is?
No. I mean, I
imagine
know the film.
Well, imagine that film turned into if that Xanadu is to film what the Xanadu I'm about to tell you is to real estate development. There is this thing out in the Meadowlands where they were just like, we have the Giant Stadium or whatever it's called now. Mm-hmm. We've got the racetrack. There's the Meadowland, the Brendan Burn. What is it? Whatever it's called now. No teams are there anymore. But then they're like, we're going to build the ultimate entertainment. This fantasy. It's going to have a ski slope inside of it, and they built it. And it's just empty. It's stopped halfway through. It's enormous, and it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. It's got like weird checkered patterns and stuff. I'm going to find you a picture.
There's no consistency to it?
There is no consistency to Xanadu.
Is there skiing and is there water? It's like a water slide kind of thing, and
it was supposed to have
lots of different things.
It was going to have everything.
Bumper cars.
Like you could just name anything. It would be like, yeah, they were going to have that there.
Go-karts.
Imagine if you saw that. I mean, that's like, look at the pattern, the color scheme and the patterns.
There's too much going on.
And it's enormous. That does not give you any idea of how big it is. This can give you an idea of how big it is. Look at how big that is. It
really is like Xanadu.
And now, like Chris Christie will not. He won't revive it, I guess, and they're just gonna. This thing's
just gonna die. It's gonna atrophy.
At some point, it starts falling apart, and then you kind of can't do anything with it, and this is just going to be left right outside. Just in case anybody. It's almost like it exists where it's like, hey, when people leave Newark Airport and go to the Holland Tunnel, they see all those garbage smokestacks and all that stuff. It's like, is there any concern that there's not enough trash if they're going to the Lincoln Tunnel or the George Washington Bridge? We need a giant pile of trash for those people. Like, what if if they just get off at exit 14? They're not going to, but those people will see all the trash. The people who stay on it, they might just think there's nice things here. So what if we spend billions of dollars and then let this thing just start falling apart?
Crumble.
It's so weird.
Like homes in Ireland that are made of stone and you just see the shell of a ski slope, and a rusted out bumper car.
I had an idea for Revel, this casino, that the way they could make money would be just install cameras everywhere. Like we're going to put, and I think they could do it for this. This would be the ultimate version of it. Install like 80,000 cameras throughout the thing. Get some sort of video center where they can kind of process the footage. And then you just unlock the doors. And then you're like, hey, if you want to watch the best of whatever goes on in Xanadu, it's a $10 a day subscription. We will give you the best edited footage from whatever anyone who goes into that place starts doing. And it would be, I would do that.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to see what would just go down in this abandoned ski slope, in an abandoned indoor ski slope? Now, Paul, Rudd, you have had an exciting year plus.
Yeah, I have.
You've done comedy and drama and all sorts of things, but now you are a superhero.
About to be, yeah.
About to be. For the movie Ant-Man, which comes out in July.
That's right.
July 17th.
Yeah. It's strange to think that it's, what is that, about 5 weeks away? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm seeing commercials for it now.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't that crazy?
It's pretty crazy.
Because it's like, how long were you on board the Ant-Man train? The Ant-Man train.
The Ant train?
Yeah, the Ant train.
I mean, a while, a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. So to see it all kind of, come to fruition.
Yeah.
And it's nearly edited now, and effects are in, and yeah, it's been an interesting thing too, because I also just went and worked a little bit on Captain America 3. So to kind of be in that Marvel world, mm-hmm. but kind of be somewhat in a bubble.
Okay.
And then now to have kind of had these experiences where I'm, standing opposite like Captain America.
Yeah.
It's a surreal. It's been a surreal ride thus far, and it's really only just kind of starting. So
yeah, it's crazy because suddenly you're out on an island doing your thing,
right? And
now you, as a sidebar, you are you proudly are an Atlanta resident, right? And are you up in New York for a quick visit?
That's what I've relocated. Yeah, yeah. I live in Peachtree City
because that's a industry gag.
You know your industry
because
you live and breathe it, Tom.
How many movies have you shot in Atlanta? Oh,
I think about 6.
6 movies.
5 or 6, yeah.
Because now they are. Like they're trying to bring productions down there, and
the entire state has offered a tax rebate, mm-hmm. and so a lot of productions are moving there, shooting there. Yeah.
So you just you did Anchorman 2 in Atlanta.
Anchorman 2 was there. Wanderlust was there.
Okay.
There's a few other things. But Pinewood Studios, mm-hmm. Which is in London, they have mm-hmm. these sound stages. They actually built an entire studio down there. So we shot Ant-Man was the very first movie that shot there, and it was pretty great, actually. I loved it. It's
a crazy. Look, I'm not going to say anything. I went by and saw. Am I going to get booted off? Am I going to be allowed in the theater now or something? And it was insane to see the scope of that thing.
Yeah.
Like when you see it.
And it's actually grown since you've seen it. They're building more sound stages.
So what was that like when you first put the outfit on, the suit? Because suddenly it's like you're in then.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're like.
Well, there's a thing that just kind of happens where when you put on a superhero suit, mm-hmm. I mean, regardless of whatever you feel about superheroes, you feel kind of cool and weird. It's different. It's like, wow, I look like I'm a guy pretending to be a superhero. I'm an adult, and I have on plastic pants.
Yeah, and then, yeah.
But it's pretty cool. I did get, you turned into a 10-year-old a little bit. And it's also a really cool suit. Like, that was another thing that was kind of great. I was pretty stoked at the way the suit looked, and it was had this kind of vintage look to it because it made sense just story-wise. Yeah. The helmet reminded me a little bit of kind of the surgeon droid in the Star Wars, in like Empire Strikes Back, mixed with a stormtrooper. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I thought the stormtrooper helmets just looked really awesome. And I had that same kind of feeling with the Ant-Man helmet.
Because it's, it's like a little weathered, too.
Yeah, there's scratches on it. It's seen some action.
Yeah. Now, you were on, because I guess you were on when Edgar Wright was going to direct it. And then whatever shift happens there with things. And then Peyton Reed, who we both are friends with, slid into the chair.
That's right.
Which was, for me, that was the most awesome thing imaginable, because I've known him for 20-something years, I guess, at this point. And I literally cannot think of anybody who was more put on Earth to direct a superhero, a Marvel movie, than Peyton.
I know, we really lucked out. Because, as you know, Edgar was the guy who wrote it and was going to direct it, and then he and Marvel kind of went separate ways, and I'm so thrilled that Peyton was available and wanted to do it, and I can't even imagine what it would be like without him. He really made the movie his own and was awesome. And as a fan, I mean, like, he knew the material. He grew up reading comics, and we lucked out.
Yeah, I mean, he was at, Comic-Con in San Diego is usually this thing where people have to go, like, at some sort of gunpoint if they were in the movie. It's like they get brought in, and I'm sure it's super exciting. You go, and people are super excited to see you there. But Peyton had been to 20 consecutive Comic-Cons as a customer.
Yeah, he was sitting on a stage this time as opposed to row WW W.
Yeah, without him.
Row World Wide Web.
So it's just like, I can't think of anybody who is more just the perfect person to slide into that. He's so, and that voice of his, though, right?
Yeah. How about that voice?
Yeah. Can you do an impression of him?
No, it's got a kind of a higher pitch. There's a southern, like a North Carolina drawl to it, but it's not like, it's not Danny McBride kind of North Carolina, but it's I can't. Right? No, you were almost, go for it.
Hey, it's Peyton. Does that sound like him?
Do it again.
Hey, Paul, it's Peyton. Just wanted to know if you put the Ant-Man suit on.
What? That's pretty dead on.
Hey, it's Peyton.
Hey, it's Peyton. Hey, Tom, it's Peyton.
This is just meant to torture Peyton. That's just...
Peyton can also go right into the full-on Southern, which he does often.
Yeah. Well, I got
that's right.
Lordy B with the
mustard. It's a foghorn leghorn kind of Southern.
Yeah. Foghorn leghorn would be like, can you click it back a notch there? Like that's
When I say action.
Oh. So the movie went super fast, too, though, right? You guys were just going a million miles an hour.
We were cruising.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was all kind of truncated a bit because, the start date never really shifted. The release date didn't really shift, so we started moving. But that was kind of a blessing in disguise, I think, because it just forces everybody to kind of think really creatively. You can't spend too much time pondering certain things, and you kind of go with it. And there's this kind of fuel and this energy to the entire shoot that actually played, I think, really in our favor. And it was also a very chill kind of set because Peyton's a pretty chill guy. It was fun.
Yeah. I'm being told
that I got to wrap it up.
No. Thanks for coming by. We got no. I'm gonna go here.
That Tony Danza's on the line.
Tony Danza's not on the line, sir. Who is on the line right now?
I'm Charlie Morgan.
Charlie Morgan. Now, you, sir, you called a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
You are the son of the actor Harry Morgan.
This is true.
And you called over. Oh, it was a unique circumstance that brought you to the show. Mike.
Well, I understood that there was some discussion about whether Thomas Pynchon appeared in Inherent Vice. Mm-hmm. And Paul Anderson, the director, writer, and everything else, had told me that there was some confusion about whether I was actually the part I played, which was a bit deal where I'm there's a nervous girl who's got the shakes, and she's trying to pour soup into my bowl, and I have a line that's not connected to what you see on the screen, where I say, if you know what's good for you, please serve the soup. Anyway, so I knew, and also because I had discussed it with Paul Anderson, that Thomas Pynchon wasn't in the movie, but also, as he told me, there were people who thought that I was him.
Now, you're sure that Thomas Pynchon... You're sure he was not in Inherent Vice?
All I can say is, I hope I'm not speaking out of school, but the director, Paul Anderson, told me that he was not, and that people were confused thinking that I was him.
I have to say, maybe he had to run interference on that.
You never know, but I think he would. I don't think he'd go out of his way to tell me that this was not the case if he was running interference.
I don't know. Now your filmography, sir. You might be batting a higher average than anyone who's ever acted in anything ever. In terms of success.
How do you figure that?
Here, because I see 6 things here on your actor filmography. Have you been in a lot more than this? Is this not representative?
No, that's the whole shebang.
Okay, so
the only time I really had a part was in an episode of The Sopranos.
Well, that's because look at this. You did one TV show, and it was The Sopranos.
Yes.
You've been in 2 Paul Thomas Anderson movies, The Master and Inherent Vice.
This is true.
Then you also did Wolf of Wall Street, so you were in a Martin Scorsese movie, right?
Yes.
And then you also did one other movie, which was Lincoln with Steven Spielberg. So you pretty much, outside of this thing, the Dysfunctional Book Club, which I'm not sure what that is, where you played Dr. Marlowe, you're 5
sure
for
what
6.
It was either.
Here, you weren't sure what it was either. You want to get that struck from the thing, because otherwise you'd be batting 1,000. This is insane.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Sorry.
That is really an impressive lineup. How does that happen?
You're here with this is Paul Rudd, Mr. Morgan.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Morgan.
You guys can call me Charlie anytime. It's kind of awkward.
Okay, Charlie.
I'm old enough to be called Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan was my father, and he didn't like to be called Mr. Morgan.
He didn't. No. So yeah, it is an impressive lineup.
Yeah, it's been fun, and these are all very small little parts. But I for a long time I was an executive at Universal City Studios, and I saw a lot of and even through my dad growing up, I saw a lot of what went on if you were a spectator watching a scene being played. But what was fun in The Sopranos and the other things that are on that list was that I got to see how they were when you were inside the scene, and that's a whole different perspective and just a lot of fun.
Now
So I was hopeful that that someone would pick up on me and I'd have an agent and I could go to tryouts and whatnot, which is what I did on The Sopranos, but it hasn't happened yet.
Did you used to hang out on the MASH set?
Yeah, I did, and at one point I took my son Spencer to the MASH set, and we have an adorable picture of him on my dad's shoulders while he's talking to Mike Farrell and Loretta Swit, and it was just a very fun time for him, my dad, and for me and my son Spencer.
Mm-hmm. Now, but you didn't really start acting then until later on.
No, I didn't. Really, I had a long career as a lawyer and as a studio exec, and then when I was kind of working on my own and doing a lot of pro bono work as a lawyer, I stumbled into a couple of situations where I was able to, do my little bit of acting, and I studied acting kind of seriously for many years. I mean, I still study it. It increases your powers of observation. Mm-hmm. But as I say, there hasn't been a lot of career follow-through that I can't make a living off acting, which is a terrible shame, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, you're doing all right. You were running. What were you doing at the studio? You were an executive?
Yeah, I was actually the general counsel of the distribution wing and had a very good run. And I was a member of the board of directors of a couple of Dutch companies that distributed Universal and Paramount Pictures overseas. So I used to go to board meetings in Amsterdam. And
what was your crowning achievement as an executive? What's your proudest moment?
Well, what I was really involved in for the last 8 or 10 years of my time at Universal was fighting piracy. Okay. And I made a name for myself in that. I was written up in the Wall Street Journal. I went around to places where there were people setting up factories and producing pirated cassettes when that was still the technology, and I closed a lot of them down, and that was a sense of achievement went with that.
What if I told you, just as a frame of reference, if I was to report someone who I knew in New Jersey was selling movies in a Duane Reade parking lot? He's somebody who I'm not going to name names, but he's here in the studio with me tonight. It's not Paul Rudd. It's
I only hit CBS.
What would I do? Should I do a citizen's arrest on him? Should I smash his wares?
Well, I can't. I mean, really, what goes on is the Motion Picture Association of America, the MPAA, is titularly in charge of that. I don't know if they still chase after guys selling cassettes in the back alleys. They're so much more worried about what goes on the internet.
Sure, a guy like that
a
guy who would sell a movie or do like a private screening of a thing at like a pub, like a guy like that is just looked at as just like garbage, right?
I think so. I mean, I'm not really part of it now, but I think the big money lost is on account of streaming videos that are pulled down in Southeast Asia.
So a guy just selling hard copies of things, you'd be like, this guy is just a piece of trash who's not even worth not even worth the effort. Let him rot.
Well, what you could do, and what the MPAA does, of course, is that you contact the FBI, which has exclusive jurisdiction over copyright matters.
All right, so it's an FBI matter.
They go after it.
Okay.
But that was part of the fun of trying to get prosecutors to do that. I had a case in Chicago where we nailed a guy he had a real little factory going, but he hired a lawyer and was resisting the government claim, and I had to testify against him as the representative of the copyright proprietor. And the lady who was acting as the prosecuting attorney, a member of the Justice Department, kept running in and screaming, "You told me this case would settle. No, I have to try this. Somebody stole somebody's video property. Everybody else in this office is worrying about interstate theft after armed robbery." So
that's
what happens when you try to get the FBI involved.
Sure.
I just don't know how responsible.
Okay. Well, I might just have this. You know what I figure with this guy I know, and I'm not going to name his name because that'd be shame. I'm not going to shame him publicly, but he'll dig his own grave with guys like that always do that, right? That's like a thing like your father on Dragnet would have seen something like that. Guys, they take care of themselves, right? Were you on the set of Dragnet, Charlie Morgan?
Often. Yes, I was, and I was very close to Jack Webb.
How about that Dragnet 68? Were you around for that when they were like going after hippies?
Of course. That was a goofy film, but it was fun to be on the set.
How about when he was like would you watch him do those monologues? Was he like a machine regurgitating those screeds
I'll tell you,
back?
It's funny how it worked, because my dad was blessed with a near photographic memory, and he never needed to look at scripts. He would look at them once, the way some people would look at Time magazine, and he would have all of his lines down and all of everybody else's lines down.
Mm-hmm.
And Webb was different. He didn't have that kind of mind, and he was a drinker. And it was difficult for him to spout out lines the next day. And what he developed was a means whereby the actor would look at a teleprompter, which would give him the lines preceding and his own lines, and he would recite them. And he had a justification for this that made some sense, which he said the lines are always fresh because you've never seen them before. And it was awkward for my dad because he wanted to say, well, look, I can do this the way actors do. No, that way it wouldn't be fresh.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that's how that was put together.
Sure.
So there were weeks that went by when my dad would never actually run into Jack Webb. He would just go in and read his lines to the teleprompter, and then Webb would read his lines, and then they'd edit them together.
I need a job.
But it resulted in a product of whatever kind of quality you want to call it, but it was very economical and very timely and.
Sure. That's the Fred McMurray model. Fred McMurray supposedly would go do My Three Sons. He'd knock out all the staircase scenes for like 10 episodes. Like, fine, I'll yell at Chip on the staircase.
We got the camera set up.
Yeah. I'll do that today. Then I'll yell at Ernie on the porch.
I'm going to go play golf by noon. You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah. I would like you, sir, to keep calling regularly because I figure we'll get little tidbits from you over the
I love.
Yeah, it's fun.
Stories.
I enjoy calling.
Yeah. What's a good?
Is it Paul Rudd that's with you, the actor writer?
It is the actor writer. Paul Rudd is here. Yes.
Oh, that's great. Hi, Paul.
How you doing, Charlie?
Now
I'm just great, thanks.
Now, Charlie, before I say goodnight, what's a good story about your dad? What's a good Harry Morgan story that nobody's heard? I need to get on HuffPo with this stuff. You know what I mean? I already got Paul here. I'm looking to get the we call it the banana split. It's when you get 3 scoops.
Well, I wouldn't call this a scoop, but I can tell you sort of a cute story. When I was in law school, there was a police officer named Officer Roberts, was all I knew about him, and he had gotten my phone number, and he'd called me a number of times, and wanted to know how I was and what I was doing, and did I still have the '57 Chevy? And I said, wait, I don't have a '57 Chevy. He said, well, where did that kind of talk. And then he would start saying, well, we need to really get together. And I said, well, do you wear a uniform? And he said, yes. I said, well, I'm living here with a lonely widow in Westwood Village near the law school, and I don't want you to come to her home in a uniform to ask for me. And he said, well, why don't I come to the law school? And I said, well, that wouldn't be good either. I mean, you want to talk to me and you're in a uniform? I'll tell you what I could do. There's a restaurant in Westwood Village, and he got really mad, and he said, no, I am not going to do that. I am going to come, and I'm going to interview you at the law school. So I didn't know what to do, and I thought it might be kind of BS, but then a lady from administration came trotting into the law review office, and she said, Charlie, there's an Officer Roberts that's calling asking for your class schedule. Oh, God. So I called my dad, who was on the set of Dragnet, and I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. This man is going to come, and he goes, Charlie, what's going on? Is this you and some of your high school buddies? And I said, no, Dad, they're talking about stolen cars and pistols and pawn shops. And my dad goes, well, that's not your MO. Let me see what I can do. Well, with him on the set was Tom Redden, the chief of police. So when Officer Roberts was compelled to call my parents and apologize profusely to them rather than to me, he did make the one statement that kind of sealed the deal for me. He said, I would have known that he wasn't the right Charles Morgan because the one I'm looking for is black.
Oh, so and you're not, you're white, right?
Yes, I am.
So that's why he got, okay, that makes sense. So that was the whole thing hinged on that.
Yeah, it saved me from an embarrassment, but I guess the more embarrassed party would have been Officer Roberts when he found out that the kid he was looking. But anyway, he did find that out because the chief of police managed to get in touch with him and tell him, you got the wrong guy.
Well, sir, and I'm going to call you Mr. Morgan, even though you asked me not to. I'm going to ask you to keep calling every few weeks.
It's all the same either way. Okay, I'll check in from time to time.
Yeah, please do. And I'm going to say goodnight to you, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. And good night to you and to Paul Rudd. I'm a fan of yours, Paul.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Same here. And
all right.
I look forward to listening to you on the radio soon.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye for now, guys.
Bye. Here we go. Charlie Morgan. That's where it all goes down. You got some Ant-Man news. You got some
Harry Morgan stories.
Yeah. What? This is like Showbiz Central.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah. You got a thing of the movie that comes out next month. And then we got a story from the set of Dragnet 68.
It's like we're in the sitting room at Sue Menger's house.
Yeah. Who's the first person who you met in your showbiz adventure who you were truly intimidated by?
Courtney Gaines.
Okay.
From Children of the Corn.
Okay. Who is Courtney Gaines?
He played Malachi in Children of the Corn. It was right when I moved from Kansas to California. And I saw him in a restaurant. And I remembered that he was also in the movie Hard Bodies. And I remember the infamous scene where he flipped somebody off in 41 different languages.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Oh, I do remember that scene.
So I saw him in real life, and I buckled.
Yeah. So that was the first.
That was my first big brush with fame.
Yeah. What was the first person who you were now suddenly acting against, and you're just like, or being directed by, where you're just like, even if you're, and you literally had to be going, like full on,
like the cat
Costello, full on Lou Costello.
Yeah. Like the Hong Kong Phooey kind of. Well, they're. Paul Newman.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a.
Yeah, that was the biggest, probably the biggest
yeah,
I'd ever have ever experienced. Nicholson a little bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a few of those guys that I've gotten a little, wheezy over.
Yeah. You told me one time about watching Paul McCartney play.
Yeah. Yeah, that was every once in a while you find yourself in these situations you just can't believe. And I was hosting Saturday Night Live. It was the first time I had ever hosted that show, and Paul McCartney was the musical guest. Or maybe it was the second time. Might have been the second time I'd host. I don't remember. And they don't normally do 3 songs. But he was trying to figure out what songs he wanted to do. And when they show those little they go to commercial and they show the pictures of the host, those bumper shots. Well, all of those shots are taken on Thursday, and they are kind of taken in the afternoon, just next to the stage where the band comes in and then starts doing their sound check. That's when the band starts, and so I was doing those pictures, and Paul McCartney was playing kind of his sound check, and he played Jet, and he played. Maybe Band on the Run. I don't know. He played a couple Wings songs, and then they brought in a piano, and he was just trying to figure out what he was going to play. And so he sat down, and there weren't that many people there. Mm-hmm. And I was standing just kind of over his shoulder. I hadn't even met him yet or anything. But I'm standing over his shoulder, and he just started playing the Long and Winding Road, and then Let It Be. And then he just started playing Beatles songs. And, everyone stopped, and a few more people started walking onto the stage and listening. And he did a little mini concert. And I was just sitting there watching his hands and his feet on the pedals and thinking, I'm standing 5 feet from Paul McCartney playing Beatles songs. And it was incredible.
Those are the actual
hands. Those are the actual hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the actual hands that were, like in Help and Hard Day's Night. Those were at that concert at Shea Stadium, those were the same hands.
Yeah. Then now they're 5 feet away from you.
I remember I would always think about those things in those terms. When I was a freshman in high school, I went to see Lionel Richie in concert. Mm-hmm. And I remember it's like, that guy's hand has shaken the hand of Michael Jackson.
So it was always...
It was always about hands.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, here's one. I've done this one before, and I will continue to do it until the end of time, probably. Kevin Love on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And by the way, if anybody... I don't know what's going on with the basketball game tonight. If somebody could tell me, please.
Or the World Cup.
The
Women's World Cup. Yeah, they're both going on.
Who are they playing tonight?
Are they playing are they playing Nigeria or something?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
So it's a big, somebody tell me what's up with the scores. If only there was a place on the internet you can get scores.
No, this stuff's hard. This stuff's hard to find.
No, what am I going to do? I got to keep this IMDb
Charlie
page
Morgan
for Charlie Morgan open.
You mean Charlie Morgan? With all those credits, you're telling me Charlie Morgan has never played for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
He should have just played for the '97 Bulls. Also, the idea, he was in the Spielberg movie.
His only coach, Phil Jackson, was his only coach.
Yeah, he
was coached by Phil Jackson.
Yeah, he only played 4 games, but he played with the team that won 72 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Love, you talk about shaking hands. Mm-hmm. You can say he shook the hand of someone who shook the hand of Charles Manson. Because his uncle is Mike Love from the Beach Boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so of all the players in the NBA, the degree of separation is lower for Kevin Love than for any player by unless you say, yeah, I know Kevin Love. Then you'd be, because it'd be like, hey, how far is LeBron James from Charles Manson? Well, Kevin Love. He's one more than Kevin Love, but nobody is tied with Kevin Love. Just the idea that there's a guy in the NBA who can say, yeah, I'm one removed from Manson.
Are we sure? Are we positive that Charles Manson doesn't have a son playing in the NBA?
That would be...
Because if so, he trumps Kevin Love.
That would be, yes. That's the only way to do it. If there's a...
Magic Manson?
Yeah. Jared Manson is playing, small forward for the Utah Jazz. Okay, let's go here to the phones. Best show, you're on the air.
Yes, hello, host.
Yes.
This is Roy in Philadelphia.
Hi, Roy. How are you?
Well, I'm a little nervous. I'm very excited to talk to your guest host.
Oh, yeah, I know who this is. This is Philly boy Roy, right?
That's correct, host.
Uh-huh. Why are you being so weirdly formal tonight? I've known you for probably 13 years now. You've never sounded this way before.
Well, I think it's proper to show proper respect when a guest of this magnitude is on your show.
Oh, that's very thoughtful.
That's really flattering.
Do you have a question for my guest?
I sure do. Mr. Rudd.
Paul, please.
I know you've been having flagrant legal problems lately, what with you hiring hitmen to off to people, but I was wondering if there's any chance of you coming back to your rightful place behind the kit, because with all due respect to Chris Slade, nobody plays She Got Balls like you, sir.
Oh, that's so. I don't know what to say. I think he's confusing me with Phil Rudd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is pretty humiliating.
Wait, what?
Roy, you're confusing Paul Rudd with the drummer from AC/DC, Phil Rudd.
Yeah, it happens. You're not the first to do
that. No, I ain't. I know who I'm talking to. It's
Yeah, you know who you're talking to.
I sure do.
So you have a question for Paul Rudd?
I sure do. Oh wait, I dropped my pencil.
Oh.
Hang on.
What is that old? Is that old dial-up?
Oh, hang on. I think I almost found it. Hang on.
Do you have a question?
Oh, I sure do. Yeah. Mr. Rudd, I wanted to know how you enjoyed making your new Netflix program, Hot American Sweatshop. Wait, no, what's it called?
Oh, Wet Hot American Summer. Yeah, we did a Netflix show of the movie. Yeah, it was great, Roy. I had a great time doing it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen little bits of it, and it's very funny. And if you like the movie, I think you'd like the show.
Oh, well, I look forward to seeing it. Also, when can we expect you to reprise your role as Kenny Chin in A Question of Ethics?
Oh boy, I have been asked that question. Never. No one's ever asked me that question. And you know your stuff.
I sure do. What about you think we'll ever get a part 2 of The Size of Watermelons?
I have been trying to get that going for over 20 years, and no luck. No investors, no interest. Nobody wants.
Oh, that sucks.
I agree.
That sucks, D.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yeah. All right. So those are some pretty solid questions there, Roy.
Were you're a fan of that movie, Roy? Size of Watermelons?
Well, yeah. Also, it's recently come to my attention that you're from Passaic, New Jersey. Yes.
Well, yeah, I was born there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you. One of my favorite Blue Oyster Cult bootlegs is from July 12, 1975 at the Capitol Theater in Passaic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping you could answer a question for me.
Sure.
The tape I have of that show, it starts with OD'd on Life Itself,
right.
But I know they was opening with Stairway to the Stars on that tour. Can you give me a definitive answer on that?
I really don't know. I couldn't even begin to guess why that is or what that is. I was very, very young when that show happened. And
yeah, it's 1975, Roy.
Well, how old is this guy?
Well, he's not.
He was making movies back in the early 90s.
Yeah, so that does not track for him to be at a show at the Capitol Theater in 75.
Maybe you don't track to me.
Okay, that's weirdly.
I zung it right back in your face.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Well,
Tom.
Yeah?
I think I speak for all the listeners out here when I say this guest is a major disappointment.
Oh, that's terrible. This is how can you say that?
That kind of hurts. Because I wasn't at the show? I mean, was it just because I wasn't at that Blue Oyster Cult show?
Kind of, yeah.
Well.
Oh no.
Wait. What's going on there?
Oh boy. Oh jeepers.
What's that?
Oh no. It looks like I got a real Philly-style trilogy of terror thing going on here.
A Philly-style trilogy of terror.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I sure do.
What's that mean?
Well, Roy Jr. brought home this scary tiki from downshore. And it looks like it's come to life.
That's like the Karen Black thing?
Exactly, yeah.
That's one of the scariest things I've ever...
Oh, no!
What?
Oh, no, it's stabbing me. Oh, it's stabbing me really good. Oh, no. Oh, Tom, it got an artery. I think it got the carotid artery.
It got your carotid artery?
I'm bleeding bad, Tom.
Roy?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm really bleeding out here, guys.
You're bleeding out now?
Yes. Can you call a paramedic or 12, please?
Okay.
Oh.
Are you driving?
Wait.
Oh, I'm losing consciousness.
What's with the...
Oh, I can't see nothing. I'm really in pain.
Who's honking?
Roy.
Wait. So there's this two horns now? Roy?
Yeah.
What's going on?
This demonic tiki from downshore.
Yeah?
It got... It got two horns.
It's got two horns. He hung up.
No.
I think he might be dead. That might have been the end of Philly Boy Roy.
Oh, no. You can't tell me that Philly Boy Roy just bled out.
He might have just...
By a demonic...
tiki.
From downshore?
Oh, from Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah, Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
That is...
That Karen Black doll, yeah, that was the scariest one of the trilogy.
I remember seeing that at, like, my aunt's and being permanently scarred by that.
Yeah.
And then when people are like, if you watch it again, you see it's stupid. It's like, I'm never seeing it again.
I hated anything that with toys that came to life. I had to go see a psychologist because of the movie Magic, because the doll scared me so much. I still have never seen that movie.
The Anthony Hopkins movie, right?
And Margaret.
Yeah.
Which I know is like a great movie, but it terrified me. And I had those same kind of issues with in like that ABC movie the week, the Trilogy of Terror, kind of Bad Ronald stuff. I had a real reaction to do you remember that one with Dirk Benedict? About the Snake Man? Like he was turning people into snakes.
No.
It's called.
Mike? You seen that?
Strother Martin, I want to say.
It was scary? Is there one that's the scariest of all those to you?
Bad Ronald is great.
Yeah.
Bad Ronald was a really good one.
I want nothing to do with any of those things. I remember this one thing that I never found out what it is. Like I remember being scared of it as a kid. Mm-hmm. It was like in a department store, and somebody was like, there was like a dog, like a German Shepherd loose in a department store, or like a guard dog, and the person was like hiding in the bathroom from it after the store closed. It was like, movies could be so simple.
They were great. They were really, really great, and you had to watch them. They were on TV. That was kind of your only thing.
Could you imagine now? It's like you get a call from your people. That's another showbiz term.
Right,
people.
Sure, people.
They're like, Paul, we've got something for you. You're stuck in a department store that closes, and there's a guard dog, and you're just you're scared of it, and you're hiding from it, and that's the whole movie. It's
going to be on ABC.
It just like now it would be like, all right, that's 5 minutes of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, where's the other steps after that?
Where's the plot? The other storylines.
Like, yeah. But back then it was just like, it's a movie. We just got this department store we can shoot at that's going out of business.
We're going to do it in 9 days.
Yeah, we're going to just shoot this thing in Indiana, and you're just going to be in this department store just terrified. And we
got a really great dog.
Got this great dog and this 22-year-old named Steven Spielberg is directing it. Like when he was doing like just garbage TV.
Yeah.
You wonder if anybody because I was just watching these Columbos from the first season of Columbo, and he did an episode with Jack Cassidy. Like Columbo squared off against this mystery author, and Jack Cassidy, who was the father of David Cassidy and the husband of Shirley Jones, was you can kind of almost feel a guy like that at that point in his career just being like, look, I don't know who this punk kid is, but he's certainly not going to tell me what to do on a set. And then just 4 years later, Jack Cassidy being like, dear Mr. Spielberg, I don't know if you remember. Firstly, congratulations on the success of Close Encounters and Jaws. I don't know if you remember. I was in.
We worked together.
Exactly. Just letting you know if there are any upcoming parts in a future production. I would definitely like to. Reignite our working relationship. After treating him like garbage because he's just a kid out of film school. Wait, which kid did Jaws? No, you're kidding me. Like he sees the line outside the theater for Jaws. That Putz who did
that pipsqueak that directed me in Columbo?
No. What's the world coming to? Oh,
I don't understand this business anymore.
He had such guys like that. I think he played 3 villains on Columbo. Like he was such a villain. Just he's a magician this time. Sure, just Jack, you do a magician this time.
Put him in a different coat.
Yeah, just you got a mustache, and now Columbo's trying to catch a magician this time. Like those later episodes of Columbo. Jack Cassidy's I don't know what he is this time, but he did the thing, and Columbo will catch him in the end. Now, when you, Paul Rudd, during you are from Kansas City?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you grew up,
I moved around a lot when I was little. I was born in New Jersey, and I lived there until I was about 5. Then I moved to Kansas for a year, then California for about 3 years, and then back to Kansas when I was 10. And then I lived in Kansas kind of from 10 to 20. So the formative years of my life, I'd say, were in Kansas City.
Okay. And at what point did you become like a Royals fan? Because that's been was it like last year or?
I was a. Last year I decided to root for the team.
Was it like when they went to the World Series, or was it when they made the playoffs that you got on?
What, and then I got aboard? I didn't realize they were even. It wasn't until the ALCS.
Yeah, then you're like, I'm going to invest.
You know what? I have a tie to that town. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. And then you're like ordering a hat and just like. Brett. What's his name? It's
George Brett.
George Brett?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is it George Brett? I got to remember that. Go just get online. Royals history.
Just like, mine, game worn jersey, just like just jumping the line on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, game worn George Brett jersey. Yeah, we're going to the game. I'm going to wear this thing.
I've had this thing for 3 days. And I felt like I had to wear it to Game 7.
You bring it to the game in the case, just in case anybody misses it. But no, you were on board as
a kid, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went to, the Royals have been to 3 World Series. Mm-hmm. And the first one that they went to was in 1980.
Okay.
And they played the Phillies. Mm-hmm. I went to one of those games.
Okay.
And I was a little kid.
Sure.
And then I went to a couple games in the 85 series, including Game 6, which was the historic bad call at first base.
Okay.
That then, allowed a Game 7, and then they went on to win that. And then I went to games, this last year. So I've been to I've seen the Royals play in every World Series they've been in.
Yeah.
Which is pretty kind of...
It's super impressive.
I didn't realize it kind of until just a couple months ago.
That is just like, when these guys are in the World Series, I'm in the house.
I'm so going. I'm going.
It might actually get to that point where it's like, maybe if I don't go, they can't even get in the World Series. Like, if you don't make it clear you're willing to go.
Well, I'm waiting for the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl because, you know, I'm a big Chiefs fan too. Yeah, Kansas City sports. It's, you know, it wasn't until I left Kansas City, I think, that I really started kind of getting into the team because, you know, they're small market teams and nobody's really rooting for those teams unless they're from there.
Yeah. And it's like a connection to home.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then is there like a place you can go to watch? You know, there's like, oh, that's the Red Sox bar in New York. It's like, is there a Royals bar? I mean, what is
there?
Is
There is,
that like
yeah. There's a there's a Chiefs bar.
Okay.
There's actually people. There are people from Kansas City all over the place, and they find their bars to watch their you know, the games in.
How does that like work? Where suddenly you're like, we want this to be a Royals bar, and the owner's like, yeah, okay.
All right.
Sure, if you guys come here and drink, it's a Royals bar.
I honestly think that's what it is. They like this one Chiefs bar that I know of. It's turned into a Chiefs bar on Sundays, but it was somebody that was doing like a play with some other. It was like all these theater people that are also Chiefs fans, and then turned into like kind of a theater Chiefs bar.
That's so ridiculous. I know. Like, we love two things:
Pippen and Jamal Charles.
Yeah. Circle's getting a little smaller here. Once we added that theater element to it, we kind of worked a lot of dudes off like they worked them out of the rotation with it. So a smaller pool we're pulling from this time. Yeah. Now you actually, speaking of you were on those. The funny thing is, it's different for you this past time because, like, when you were at the games, now it's kind of like, oh, there's Paul on TV at the game watching the Royals not win the World Series,
right?
And now that's being documented, like you're
like for like the most famous play of it was that last play of Alex Gordon, you know, getting the triple, and then and then. I was on TV for that play.
Yeah.
Next to my son who was falling asleep. I took him it was his birthday. And he was so into it. And then he started getting really tired by the end of the game, and so he's just sitting there dazed.
Yeah. But then, like, in some control booth, the guy's like, I think we could see a part of Paul Rudd dying inside. Cut to Paul Rudd. The play just went down. I think Paul Rudd looks like he's lost the will to live.
He's ready to just end it all.
Yeah. You did, like, in terms of you doing theater, to go back in the way segues work, is we do them like that.
Well done.
Yeah, you, although I'm not supposed to point it at, like, I've kind of undone my work by stepping outside of it. Not unlike Donald Trump doing that within the speech. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I'm just as dumb as he is. You have done theater on and off through your career.
That's right, yeah.
And the last time you did a play with Michael Shannon and Ed Asner.
Yeah.
What was the name of that play?
Grace.
It
was called, a couple of years ago.
That was great. And I had asked you, because like people laugh at weird, because it was a play. It had funny things in it, but it's not funny.
It wasn't a straight up comedy.
No,
it was pretty intense and dramatic. Yeah.
Kind of within, not spoiling anything. Within the first minute, you're like shooting people.
Yeah.
So, and then it builds out from that.
Yeah, the play starts with the end of the play, and then it goes backwards, and we actually walk backwards and do scenes backwards. It was a really kind of an experimental, for a Broadway play, it was a pretty interesting and experimental play.
Yeah.
And it was pretty intense.
Yeah. But you, like seeing it, there's points where people are like laughing, because there are funny moments, and laughter does not just mean I think this is hilarious,
right.
which is why I'm laughing. People laugh for all different reasons. But you said you could hear laughter at literally any, like over the course of the run,
mm-hmm.
every moment you heard a laugh at any of those given spots, like even at the most brutal of things,
yeah,
you'd still hear somebody
chuckle.
Yeah,
yeah. It's really interesting when you do.
So weird.
Well, I've had that experience a few times in plays where I've actually done these plays where they're especially with some of the Neil LaBute plays where it gets really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
really uncomfortable.
Sure.
And there's always people laughing at the darkest moments.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I would probably be laughing at the darkest moments if I was in the theater.
Yeah.
Sometimes because it's darkly funny, but it's weird. People just don't know exactly how to handle their own emotional reaction to things, and sometimes it's nervousness or whatever. And yeah, it's kind of strange to hear laughs in places where you don't think they're warranted.
Because you can hear everything also.
Everything. You're very aware of everything that's happening in the audience.
It's like, so weird.
You can hear when somebody is unwrapping a candy. You can hear every cough. You just become very aware. We were doing that play, and I was at one time was very aware of a kind of a noisy kind of a rustling, and people were talking, and and it kept growing and building, and I didn't know exactly. I wasn't sure what had happened, but I wasn't dying down, and I thought, oh my God, is somebody having a heart attack? Do I need to stop the play? And we didn't. And Michael Shannon just started yelling his lines into the direction of the sound, and it scared everybody so much that they got very quiet. And I went off stage only to find out that somebody had actually thrown up, like puked. Oh, they were sitting in the front row of the balcony and puked over the balcony onto the seats below, onto like 20 people. Just threw up. And that was a first.
Yeah, that was
the critic of the New York Times, Ben Brantley.
It was just that. Yeah, because then what? Like, it's funny because people are also getting so casual in the way life works now to where it's like you see pictures of people flying like 50 years ago wearing suits.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine, like,
riding on subways.
Yeah. Like, on a flight now, you're lucky if, like, people have, like, pants on, like, long pants on. Like,
I remember when I was in high school, and I'd flown, the reason I even grew up in Kansas City, my dad worked for TWA. We flew all the time. I always had to dress up when I flew. And my friend Jeff was flying on, and he's, like, hadn't really been on a plane before. And so, of course, my first question is, well, what are you going to wear?
What are you going to wear?
I don't know, probably just like shorts. I'm like, you can't wear shorts on a plane.
Yeah.
And he goes, why not? I said, you can't. You're flying on a plane. You're not allowed to wear shorts. I think, by the way, I must have been in like 10th grade.
Yeah.
And I go, I'll bet you $20 you're the only person wearing shorts. It was fine.
Yeah.
And so of course, I lost $20.
Yeah, because now you fast forward, and you're lucky if half the people on the plane are wearing like day wear, like it's when it's like 11, it's like 3 in the afternoon, and then there's like people in like pajamas walking through the airport. It's like, where are you flying? What are you flying to Singapore? If you're flying,
carrying like a pillow, their own pillow, and
it's like, look, if you're flying on a 22-hour flight, fine, wear your sleep clothes. But then they're like, yeah, I'm flying from Newark to
Atlanta.
To Atlanta. Yeah, just like, it's a 2.5-hour flight. I just want to be able to sleep.
Just want to be comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, used to be.
Yeah. Well, we are getting dumber and sloppier and everything. We're declining. We're just we're getting worse.
We are getting worse.
We're getting worse.
How are you doing time-wise?
I'm fine.
You're fine?
Yeah.
You just give me the high sign. Just all you do. That was Dudio, the dude who built the studio. He makes me call him
Dudio?
He came up with his nickname, Dudio. He's like, I think I want to be called, his name's Jason, but he's like, I think I want to be called Dudio.
Every time he pokes in, you should play Susudio.
Yeah.
It's like his own entrance music.
Oh, that's you just said, that was like, you just dropped a bucket of poison in the
room,
in the water supply. Now,
Sue.
Because next week he's going to be like I'll just like a file will show up. I'll just see like an email from him with a little paper clip in the corner to say like, it'll just say like,
if I just started a bit you didn't want started,
an idea. The email will be called subject, Dudio. Like he'll get somebody to record it,
like kind of a novelty recording.
Yeah,
Dudio.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He'll just get somebody to go put Dudio together. Now, Paul, with Ant-Man, it's exciting because it's like the superhero that you should be playing in a way. It's kind of the perfect one for you.
The anti-hero, the weird, like a minor chord kind of superhero.
Yeah, with a point that goes under everything else is about bigger, biggest, and then you're just kind of not playing by any of that.
None of that. And a guy who is just a guy.
Yeah.
No, born without any kind of superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it really is the suit.
It's the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got
you got to know how to use the suit. Mm-hmm. And you have to know what to do when you shrink down. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot to learn. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty steep learning curve
with the suit.
With all of it. Because it's not just the suit. You got, there are ants to contend with too.
But none of this made the movie, though. None of you learning how to do the suit. None of you learning how.
None
to
of the suit or the ants are in the film. It's a weird thing. People are going expecting ants and shrinking, and there's none of that.
It's like There Will Be Blood, where he's like.
It's a lot like My Dinner with Andre. Where I'm just sitting across from Michael Douglas, and we're talking about potential and suits and
remember the thing,
atomic distance and things like that.
Just talking about it. The movie starts 2 days after the movie should have started, and it's just you guys. Boy, that was some adventure, huh?
Wow, we did it.
Yeah,
we just did.
Remember when you shrunk down and then you fought?
Guy.
I thought you were going to get killed in that fight. but you made it.
And here you are.
And then the ants.
Did you get the salad? Is that yours?
Exactly. Like, and it's like, the things the ants did.
Oh.
If only others could have seen what we saw.
I mean, they are called crazy ants for a reason.
Crazy ants. Now, it's awesome. Kevin Corrigan came by last week.
I love Kevin Corrigan.
Kevin is awesome. And I thought if Marvel's going to play this thing all the way down the line, he should be some sort of superhero at some point. Imagine.
Yeah.
I thought
Doctor Strange.
That's exactly what I said. Because he skulks around the village.
Yep.
And that's what Doctor Strange did. You walk through that, and suddenly it's like, oh, hey, Kevin. And then it's like that's what Doctor Strange would have been. Yeah. Kevin Corrigan walking around.
Abingdon Square. Just with a paper under his arm.
He came in here last week and did impressions. He did a thing. It was probably 5 minutes long. It was a one-man performance of him doing the scene in First Blood, the first Rambo movie, where it was Christopher Walken. He did Christopher Walken playing Richard Crenna, the Richard Crenna role, and then he did I guess an Apocalypse Now era Marlon Brando as Stallone, and it was one of the craziest and funniest things I've ever seen in my life. I could not look at. We were sitting like we're sitting right now. I had to just be like this
Oh, my God.
The whole time I could not watch it.
Committed to memory, knew all the dialogue.
He had it written out.
He wrote it out.
I think you can find those things online.
Yeah.
Just like the Ant-Man script, which I just put up, guys, over at...
Don't let Charlie know. He'll send the FBI.
Oh, that's right.
He's going to... Charlie Morgan will send a team.
Get 'em, boys.
What a voice on Charlie.
Yeah, that is... And you can hear... Because when he first called, somebody was like, yeah, he said he's Harry Morgan's son. And then, look, there's a lot of pranksters and tricksters who call this. And then...
There's a lot of people out there pretending to be Harry Morgan's son. Let's get real.
First of all, that answers the question right there. It's like, no one... If you called pretending to be that... I'll just pretend that you are it, because that's really...
No, you are that. If you're saying that's you, that is you.
You get to be
because nobody is pretending to be that.
That's fair. You are Charlie Morgan, son of Harry Morgan. But his voice, I was like, this is clearly the son of Harry. Like, you could hear the...
There's authority in his voice.
Yeah. And you can also hear him, like... Just picture him being on the wrong end of that voice in, like, business affairs at, like, Universal Studios. It's like going home from work after just like, well, Charlie Morgan just tore me a new one. Boy.
I need a scotch. Charlie was on the warpath today.
Mike is saying line 1. You're sure about this, Mike? Best show, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi, who's this?
This is Annie from Kansas City. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you? You're here with Paul Rudd.
Hi, Annie.
Hi. Hi, how are you, sir? I called in. I didn't know I've been on the phone, but Paul, I just wanted to say thank you for, I don't know if you talked about it, but the Big Flick event weekend.
I haven't talked about it.
Everyone is really excited, and
Well, awesome. I am too. This is a really cool thing. It's our sixth year. I don't know if you know about this, Tom.
It's the event you do?
Yeah, it's coming up this weekend in Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's to raise money for Children's Mercy Hospital.
Okay, and what is it exactly?
Well, there are some other guys I know that are from Kansas City, and we all do this charity event together. Jason Sudeikis, who we went to the same high school. Rob Riggle, who I went to college with, and Eric Stone Street from Modern Family, and Dave Koechner, who's an anchorman. We're all from Kansas City.
That's crazy.
And we co-host this event. It's kind of like a 2-day event. We go and we play a softball game before a Royals game, and then we watch the Royals game. They're playing the Red Sox on Friday. Then we do a bowling event on Saturday, and then a big show on Saturday night. And people fly in. We have lots of other celebrities, and we auction off things, and it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
and
great.
our families run it too and organize it. It's all just our moms and dads and brothers and sisters. It's it's a family affair.
That's fantastic. And if people want to find out about that,
they can go to bigslickkc.org.
Okay, and that's this weekend.
That's this weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, guys. I just wanted to say it's really exciting for people who live in Kansas City to have, like, celebrities that represent Kansas City come back and support the hospital, and it really is amazing for the kids, so thank you for doing that.
Oh, man, thank you for calling, and honestly, it's a blast. We love doing it. And one thing's for sure is that we all feel as if Kansas City really is still kind of our home. You know, we grew up there, and that's where our families still are and friends.
Sure.
And so it's great. Yeah.
Is there a chance that in a future year you'll just be like, just tell them Ant-Man is there, and then
just I just send somebody else in the suit,
or just he's running.
They won't be
around.
able to tell. He's running around.
He's little.
Look, you. He's there. You don't see him, but he's there.
Just like some other year, you just pre-record a thing. Hey, it's me, Ant-Man. I'm in the stadium.
Please watch where you step.
Look out. Ant-Man's here. Just like, and you just hear in the background, like, just like strip club music in the background. Wait, what strip club is? That's like
it's like old timey stripper music.
Yeah. So you hear that
strip
song.
club music. Like what would be modern? It's just like
any loud song. I'm sure would just be like, yeah, it's strip club music.
What's the worst? Loud. What would be the worst strip club music?
The worst?
Jesus Take the Wheel.
Maybe I might go back to like the music of Robert Wyatt. At last, his cover of the Chic song, "At Last I Am Free." If you've ever heard, I would say that. Where is it? I know I've got it on here because this is the kind of morose stuff I actually listen to. It would be something like this.
Oh, great. I don't know. I think you could kind of take your clothes off to this.
Oh, no. He's taking his shirt off.
And the pants.
And the pants are coming off now. We'll wait for the vocals to come in, and then we'll get an idea how this would work. All right, coming up next,
we've got Misty.
It's coming like it's Robert Wyatt 2 for 1. Songs in the champagne room. Oh, I can't do that. Well,
it's good stuff.
Thank you for the call.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Have a wonderful night, guys.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want some water or something?
Yeah, I'll take some water.
Mike, can you bring a water in, please?
You know, I was thinking what the worst strip music, and I made the joke about Jesus Take the Wheel, and I didn't think like the next thing I thought of still about Jesus, but I was thinking Jesus, the Gavin Bryars, Jesus Blood Never Failed Me Yet.
What is that? I don't know that.
Oh, it's amazing, but you can't really strip to that. It's this old man that sings that phrase, and it's on a loop. And it's
I know that.
Yeah.
Yes. I know exactly what that is. Right. Yes, that would not be. Although someone is now taking it as a challenge, I'm sure, to
strip to that.
Someone listening to this in Portland right now is probably because Portland has some weird overabundance of strip clubs. When I went to Portland like 5 years ago or whatever, suddenly it's like driving around. It's like, wait, why is there a strip club on every other block in this city?
Is there really?
And they seem to all have like steak dinner deals. Like
Houston is a big strip club place. I've never been to Portland,
but you would think Houston would be.
It makes sense.
Yeah, you'd be like, because if you were just writing out which cities have a lot of strip clubs, like
Houston's got to.
Houston, Atlanta.
Yeah.
There was that one place in Atlanta that all like the Gold Club that would be. It was famous because it would be like the NBA guys would come to town, go there, and then the game they'd play after that, they would be just like demolished from partying. Like you always want, like gamblers would know, all right, the Knicks are playing in Atlanta on Wednesday. They're going to Charlotte on Thursday. You bet Charlotte's going to win that game.
Right.
Because the Knicks will be limping around holding their heads because they partied all night in Atlanta. So those are the kind of things that true degenerates would know. The Anchorman movies, that's like, because you now have been in all these things that are actual, like things that are never going to go away, right?
Well, a lot of them will, but a few won't. I think Anchorman is one of those ones that has kind of now taken its place in the pop culture. Yeah.
Yeah, and Clueless.
Right.
And Friends.
Well, Friends, I was basically a prop on that show.
But you were on it, though. You got to, say, I'm on that thing.
At the very end, I was I did some episodes of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is it? Which was really a strange experience.
And to join a thing as it's this is the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
You're now.
They're sitting in Central Perk.
Yeah.
After seeing it on TV. I remember I never got over just the weirdness of that. Mm-hmm. Even on the very last episode, I was sitting in, I think, Monica's apartment. It's there's that jouet sign that's hanging over the TV. And it was that's it. That's the thing I see on TV. I never, ever felt comfortable. They were great and always made me, feel as comfortable as they could. But I was never, I never felt like I was, I'm not one of them. The show is really about them, and I'm just going to, I was I was like Robbie Wrist. I was like Cousin Oliver. Speaking of the going back to the sitcom.
Yeah, but
that brings in the.
But
I was the Danny Cooksey of Friends.
Danny, who's Danny Cooksey? Why am I?
He played Sam on Different Strokes. They brought him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
A little bow-tied kid.
Yeah.
Man.
Actually, you know what? I wasn't even that.
Okay, you were looking up at Danny Cooksey,
yeah. It's they brought him in because he was going to be a ringer. He was cute, and he had his bow tie, and he was precocious.
Someday, Cooksey, I'm coming for you, Cooksey. I want what Cooksey has. Best show, you're on the air.
Oh, hi.
Hi, who's this?
This is Autumn from Topeka, Kansas.
Hey, getting a lot of Kansas callers. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got pushed to, I know Geneva, and Paul Rudd's on, and I was like, oh, I have kind of an awkward story. It's awkward for me, but it's probably more awkward for Paul Rudd.
Oh God!
Is this because we've talked about running into like horrible encounters with other people, and because at the beginning of the year I had I met I was in San Francisco and at this hotel, and I kept seeing Patti Smith at the hotel. Mm-hmm. It's we were staying there for a few days. Suddenly it's oh, there's Patti Smith. Oh my God. And then the next day, there's Patti Smith again. And then I saw Patti Smith the third time at the mall adjoining the hotel. And then the fourth time I saw Patti Smith, I was I'm going to say something to Patti Smith. So she got into the elevator. So I just got into the elevator too. And then I said, hey, how are your shows at the Fillmore? She's like, oh, good, but I'm just tired. And then I was thinking in my head, I'm going to come up with something. I'm swinging for the fences here.
Yeah.
She's never been asked this. I'm going to be the person that she now says, I got the most interesting question the other day. It was very thought-provoking. So I said to her, hey, you know that band Humble Pie back in the 70s? What were they? Were they the real deal or what? And some version of that. And then she instantly looked terrified and then said, yeah, I never saw them. That was before my time, which was not true. It was she timeline totally worked for her to have seen them. And then the elevator door opened, and then she said, goodbye, and then just got out, and I was just oh. But it was so, I was so happy that I flamed out, in 2015, to just eat it straight up like that. It's such a healthy experience to just be brought low
back to like who you, this is what you felt like your whole life.
Yes.
Don't get too big for your britches, because this is the base at which we're all supposed to be operating from.
And to know that
it's still real.
Yeah. To know that I am not miles from whence I came. I was like inches this whole time. I was inches away from the worst version of myself. So we've been talking about that on the show over the last few months. So you, Autumn, what do you have? To say?
Well, here's the thing: it's a meeting that didn't actually occur, and it's because this is 19 years ago.
19 years.
And it was in Topeka, and you're going to have to help me out because I was a bit younger.
Were you 19 years younger?
Yeah, I was. How did that happen? Yeah, I was in 8th grade, and I was in middle school, and I think he was our communications teacher, but his name was Mr. Martin. You probably know him by his first name. I think he was either
Jason,
a roommate, or he was a friend of yours, maybe at KU.
Was this Jason Martin?
Jason Martin.
Yeah.
Well, he was our teacher, and for some reason you came and visited. And this was a year after Clueless had occurred, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was the only girl in that school that had not seen Clueless. I hadn't seen it. I don't know why. It wasn't a too cool for school thing or whatever, but you came and everybody just flipped out. And there's this picture in our middle school yearbook of you just surrounded by these tween girls. And you could see the look on your face, like I can't, why am I here? What is happening? This is terrifying. All these young girls. And it was kind of it's always been the story of I was the one person who's like, who's that? Like, what's going on?
It's okay, though. You can't see every movie.
I was so uncool.
No,
at the time,
I remember Jason asked me to come speak to the class, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about? Because he was communications teacher.
Well, yeah, right? And then he went on to teach English. I remember I went on to talk about Shakespeare at the time. And I was saying something to the kids. I don't know if this was if I was talking to your class or it was another class that he taught, where I was saying, the sonnets are like, it was like the musicians of the day. And I said, like, it's like if you guys are like listening to REM. And they all just went, they all just went, ew. Like, I felt like I was 80 years old. I was like,
REM was so over by then.
I know, and I didn't. They weren't to me.
My crush with eyeliner had just come out. We're like, over it.
Kids don't like REM?
Oh, God, I'm a fossil already.
Yeah. And I'm being told online that I am, with the Patti Smith story, that I've removed the phrase that I said to her, back in the day, did you see Humble Pie? Which apparently people think that's the crux of the true humiliation point of it.
You said back in the day.
And I was probably blocking that out and coming up with a softer version of the story that I could still live with. But now, thank you
it's all come
for
out.
bringing it back to the original point of horror with it.
Somebody has like the elevator tapes and they've memorized it. The camera on the thing is like, oh no, I know exactly what you said.
You can't worry about the fact that you didn't see that. You've had a chance to see it. Now you've seen it, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
And then again but I actually saw it because you came, and I was like, well, I mean, I have to see this. What is this? And then I still didn't. I hadn't read Emma. I didn't know Emma.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was based on Emma, and so then I had to watch it again. I ended up going to film school at KU. We did not watch it in film school. We didn't mean to build it up.
See, look, you're doing it. I gotta say, you're doing it right now. You're saying, we didn't watch you. Of course, we didn't watch your movie in film school.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna let you off the hook, Autumn.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay.
Mean that it was too. Yeah.
Because 19 years.
You probably had other classics to watch.
We were taking like blaxploitation classes, and it was crazy the things that you could watch in film school. The thing, but No, it was really cool,
okay.
and that's really awesome that you actually came and did that. I know
it was fun. I liked doing it. It was great. Yeah, that
was really awesome. Imagine your friend calls you up and is like, "I know this will be really cool."
All right,
for my class.
Autumn. I'm gonna just
okay.
You ever see on Evening at the Showtime at the Apollo and he's kind of get gently swept off the stage? I'm
Yes.
doing that. Paul's the good guy.
Thank you.
Tom's the bad guy. Thanks for calling.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Now, when you're on the Adam McKay sets,
yeah,
and it's going because there's probably nobody whose head goes faster than his head, right?
Nobody. He's a comedy savant. He's the funniest, smartest guy in the room at all times.
But he's like a guy too. That's the.
Yeah.
He's never kind of. He never uses it against anybody.
He's like the coolest epitome of both of those things. Mm-hmm. He makes you feel like you're funny, you're smart, and he's engaging, and he's one of those guys that I think anyone that spends time with it is awed by him, pretty much.
Yeah. I remember, did you ever see him do ASCAT back in and it would be the thing where it's at the UCB theater when you'd have everybody there, all of the UCB people. So you've got, Amy Poehler and Matt Walsh, and then you've got Tina Fey and Horatio Sands and Rachel Dratch, and just 10 other people are up there. And then he would be the only person who could make all of them just watch a guy just kind of crack his head open.
It's unbelievable. He's something. I mean, he really is incredible, and that he and Will are such a great partnership, and there is a bit of a yin and yang there. There's whereas Will is kind of equally hilarious and facile and bright and personable. There's a lightness with Will, whereas I think Adam can get darker and weirder, and they really know how to complement each other well.
Yeah. And he, that second Anchorman movie, he had an amplifier system.
Well, he would do things, I can always tell just an Adam McKay joke. It's such a strangely, beautiful construct and when we would do Anchorman, he would yell things out if we're improvising stuff, and and his were always the funniest. No matter what, the best joke I think I could ever think of would be way worse than Adam McKay's worst joke. But he was the guy that would yell stuff out and destroy everybody. When we were doing the warm-ups and it was saying, unique New York and the arsonist has oddly shaped. And it just kind of, none of that was really scripted. We all just kind of started making these things that were not tongue twisters. And I just remember Adam McKay just yelling out the Human Torch was denied a bank loan and seeing Will, that one was the Will, Will doesn't lose it, but man, that was the one where he couldn't quite get it out, and so we would do things like that throughout, and then sometimes in Anchorman 2 we'd be shooting and he would be away from the set, so he had a microphone and a speaker, and I remember there was one time where Will really made me laugh. I was doing this report about fake breasts. I don't think it's in the movie, but about this new technology that you get women getting fake breasts and how I think it's great. And then as Ron Burgundy leans over to me and says, and is it true? I've heard they were doing new testing, filling breasts with taco meat. I had to try and keep it together unsuccessfully, but and I said, there are lots of things, fiberglass insulation, gravel. I'm trying to think of things, and then I just hear on a speaker, nickels from McKay, dying. Yeah.
And then there was going to be a thing, there was a point where Anchorman 2 could have been on stage.
Originally, it was supposed to be a Broadway musical that we were going to do. This was years ago. No one wanted to do it. I mean, no one wanted to do Anchorman 2 as a movie anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, wasn't that big of a hit. That's a movie that kind of gained popularity once it was on cable. But the numbers didn't really line up for the studio, and then they certainly weren't interested in making it into a musical. But even though we were all on board, we thought that would be a really interesting way to do a sequel.
I mean, I could not imagine how excited. Like, imagine you're just in New York and it's just like, hey, Anchorman 2 with, like,
we were all going to do it.
Paul Rudd, David Koechner, and
Will.
And, yeah. They said him. Who am I missing?
Carell.
Steve Carell. Oh, yeah. Oh, just him. I just blanked on it. And it's just like, yeah, they're on stage every night doing the sequel to that movie.
Right.
It would be the craziest. It would be pandemonium.
Well,
every night.
we kind of thought
people would be throwing up every night.
We kind of thought it would be a really bold way to go, and that Broadway musicals didn't. It was like the humor that we wanted to bring to it was not the kind of humor that you would necessarily see on Broadway in a musical. I think that they thought probably after the fact maybe it was a good idea because Book of Mormon came in a couple of years, several years later, and then did it the right way. And it was amazing. I don't know if we would have hit that.
Oh, that would have been awesome. And now Adam did work on. He wrote on Ant-Man.
Yeah,
to bring it back to the.
Yeah, which was great. I mean, to work with him in that capacity was amazing.
Because he's totally into. He's been like he's long time.
Yeah, Marvel comic reader. He loves their movies but just knows a lot about that world, and he read the comics as a kid.
And I feel like if you do comedy and you know how to build comedy, you can build other things. Like I worked on the show Monk, and so many of the writers on it came from a comedy background, and you could learn how to write mysteries if you knew how to build comedy. You could learn how to build mystery because it's the same sort of thing of moving pieces and setting things up and then taking a side detour but then paying it off. Like the mechanics are very similar. And I think they're
keeping the narrative simple and then dressing it up with jokes and using those kinds of things to enhance the stories. It's similar to like writing a mystery or writing something else where you learn to enhance the narrative by kind of flourishes and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And that's going to him, it's like a guy like that can definitely, he can do what he wants because he's insanely super talented, but I think you could build the mechanics of like an action sequence. And like the excitement that you get from that is not different from the excitement you get from when comedy's working also. So, I mean,
I can see that. You're stretching out a moment, suspending. You're keeping emotion and suspense intact, like being able to prolong a joke, knowing how to the rhythms of it, and I know what you're saying.
I think it's great. I'm so happy that everybody worked on a fun movie together, and I can't wait to see it in the theater. Best show, you're on the air.
Oh, I'm on the air. Hey, how's it going, Tom? And Paul, how are you guys?
How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Who is this?
This is Bennett in Queens.
Bennett in Queens. What's up, Bennett?
Not too much. I guess, I don't know, recently, this is a couple weeks ago, you guys were talking about bad celebrity icons, and it got me thinking about a guy who I've never come across like someone who makes art who seems to have so much contempt for their fan base as George R.R. Martin seems to. I don't know if you have any opinions on him or Game of Thrones.
Look, I don't watch Game of Thrones. I feel like my wife does, and she tells me every week. It's like oh, this character that I like is dead now, and then this other character, now a child is dead, and to me that sounds like such a great escape from reality to watch a show where people who you like die. What a fun...
Are consistently brutalized.
What?
If only Lord of the Rings had more like grotesquerie and sexual violence,
just
it seems like. I don't know why.
Pure escapism. It sounds like just pure escapism. The thing where you like someone and then someone kills them, and it's now just a matter of when do all my favorite people die on this thing. Is that what it's like?
Yeah, and I watched it early on, and I kind of gave up on it for that reason. But I just
so you think you think George R.R. Martin would have a bad iPod? Is what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I still think the worst celebrity iPod would probably be like Hulk Hogan would probably have.
Oh, absolutely, because it's his kids.
What would be on his iPod?
Like his daughter's music and his music, like, it's things he's recorded.
All like acoustic stuff?
Just like that song, Real American would be on.
Oh, yeah.
His entrance musics would be on there.
Yeah.
In case he's at a thing and they're just like, Hulk, we don't have Real American and we don't have any Wi-Fi in here. Hold on.
Oh, we don't have any Scorpions. Can you come out to? Oh.
Here you go, brother.
Oh, I got something.
hook my iPod into the... Yeah. You got a quarter-inch jack, brother?
Have you seen any of the stuff with George R.R. Martin?
All right, you're driving me nuts, this guy. He's clearly...
I've never watched Game of Thrones.
Because sometimes they think about the call all week or all month, and then they make it, but it doesn't make sense outside of their own head. That's what happens in here.
That's like most conversations I have.
Yes,
it would just throughout the day.
To me, it's like most. To me, that's often when I'm mad at someone. Sometimes you go and then you're like, oh, wait, we never had that argument.
I've played this out differently in my head, and I've created scenarios, and
and you're
looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Yeah, and you just said, you're sorry for that thing that happened, and I'm sorry for the thing that I did. Oh, so wait, we're past this, but I'm weirdly still dealing with anger that I created all of? Best Show, you're on the air.
Hello, Tom.
Hi. Oh, I know who this is. This is a guy from, he's from the state of Atlanta. No, not Atlanta, Alabama. Right?
Yes, sir. Hello, Paul.
Hello. This is Jason is his name. Jason from Huntsville, Alabama. He is a comedian in his own right. He does. You've done things with John Hodgman, right, Jason?
I've done Thing with John Hodgman.
You've done Thing with John Hodgman.
Yes.
Where you, when he did a show down there, you were in the show. Was that what happened?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I like that.
I'm being very formal.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's that Southern gentleman coming out.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm the only Northerner here tonight. Got a guy from Atlanta. Got a guy from Alabama. I'm the only one from north of the Mason-Dixon line in the studio.
You're the only one repping Dr. Pepper country.
Yeah, you're Mr. Pibb. You and Paul are both Mr. Pibb's stalwarts. What's the water down there in Atlanta? What is the...
Fontis.
Fontis?
Yeah.
What is F-O-N?
T-I-S.
T-I-S. Fontis.
Fontis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like...
I would always, after every take... demand a cold Fontis. Somebody bring me an ice cold Fontis. I need it now. This ant suit is hot.
Now, the first time you wore the ant suit, you said you felt like that power of the thing. What was the first time you're just like, oh boy, I'm in an ant suit and everybody is wearing normal clothes?
Not that long afterward.
Something like... Where's the bathroom? I'm in the ant suit.
They did have to build in the fly in case I needed to go to the bathroom. Yeah. So There was a time when I had to go to like a urinal, and I'm in the ant suit with the helmet, and it's like I need a pit crew to get into the thing. It's not like
so you're not going to be like,
it's not an easy thing. I'm not going to just like get out of the suit and go.
Yeah.
And I remember like some of like the construction guys or whatever, they came into the bathroom, and it's just like there's Ant-Man that's standing in a urinal, kind of breaking the illusion that they're really trying to create.
Now, a question is, wouldn't, in the world of Ant-Man, why was there no fly on that? Wouldn't somebody be like...
Unstable molecules.
Like, maybe this dude has to go to the bathroom once in a while.
Yeah.
In the world of the movie, not just the actor.
Well, there is. It's sewn in. Like, it looks like, you can see it. It's not like a smooth plastic shield.
Okay. Jason?
That's what I was wearing under the suit.
Yes, sir.
What can I do for you, Ted?
Well, I could get into a discussion of PIM particles, but I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. You're going to stay away from that, yes.
Yeah, I'll stay away from that.
You're better than that.
In fact, I won't even mention it.
You're not going to mention PIM particles tonight.
No. But the thing is, I want to give you fair warning. I don't know if you saw it. This went up on the internet that Tom Waits got pelted with a bunch of old hats at a music festival.
Really?
I know your
old hats.
Your inbox is going to fill up with links to the video.
Telling you.
Of Tom Waits being pelted.
Tom Waits got hit with a bunch of old hats?
No, not actually, but I was making a reference to...
he's making a reference to...
PIM particle.
The dude from Smash Mouth got hit by loaves of bread.
By bread. I saw that today.
And the Tom signal went out into the sky.
So I wish if I had, that's the kind of thing people see that happen, and then they're like, I need to tell Tom that there's a video of the dude from Smash Mouth getting hit with loaves of bread, because it was a torrent of... Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but here's the guy from Smash Mouth. It was like this. It would be like, hey, I don't know if you saw this, but it's a video of you doing a thing. Like it's like, but it's. I don't know the guy from Smash Mouth, but I'm like,
where did I get Tom Waits? I know you're Tom.
He's being funny.
All right.
He's being
with another
comedic.
of.
Yes,
there are these things that push your buttons.
Yes, so the idea of him getting hit by hats.
People associate these people with you.
Yeah, look, we're not going
to
walk the guy through the whole show. All right, Jason?
Yeah, I'm just saying, just you. Yeah, that's the deal. That's just
now, I got to say, with this dude getting hit by bread at the thing, I could not be more on his side. Like, when people are like, it's like, yeah, look, am I going to listen to Smash Mouth tonight? No, but the dude's playing a show at the thing, you don't throw stuff at him.
Right.
Like, it's as simple as that. You don't throw anything at anyone, right?
Right.
You like
you can smash that guy in the mouth with a piece of bread like that.
That's terrible. Oh, no. I couldn't.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah, what? You could smash him in the mouth. That sounds like, yeah. I can't even recover from that one.
No, that's horrible. It was so bad.
You could smash
but
him in the
mouth. You really could.
You could
smash him in the mouth.
To be fair.
With a loaf of bread.
Now, they were just throwing... That's when you know you're in America, when it's like, we have food.
We have bread.
What are we doing with it? We don't like this guy's music anymore. We used to, but now it's weirdly ironic, so... we're going to throw food at him that other people would be like, bread, please, can I have one piece of that bread to just bring home to my family? Sorry, I got to whip it at the guy from Smash Mouth. My family is so hungry. Sorry, the guy is singing All-Star up there. I want to, look, I'm sorry your family is starving. You'll understand this when I explain it. Remember that song All-Star? That dude is here singing it. And I want to hit him with this bread.
He is our country's greatest villain.
Who is our country's greatest?
Maybe it wasn't a violent gesture. Maybe it was like a thank you like a. Oh, it's like that's a custom in another country. You give them bread.
It sounds it's very European.
Thank you for your music. Yes. Here's a loaf of rye.
We honor Smash Mouth tonight. Viva Smash Mouth! Throwing bread at them. Yay! No,
now
that's
remember,
not.
when you get to their country, you give them bread. Yes. You throw bread, and you take off your shoes.
Yeah. Did they throw bread at you? No? Oh, I'm so sorry.
They must have been greatly insulted.
Oh, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the call. Well, I hung up on him. A little quick on the trigger there. Best Show, you're on the air.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Josh, the organ player up in Boston.
Josh, this guy's name is Josh Cantor, right? K-A-N.
That's correct.
Josh Cantor. He is the organist for the Boston Red Sox.
Oh.
And
hi, Josh. Josh performed with Hodgman, too, I believe, right?
Yeah, I did a thing with Hodgman, and Paul was on that show.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was, last year.
That's right.
Now, Josh got a World Series ring. And
I did, yeah, from the 2013 Red Sox championship.
Yes, he showed me the ring. He actually has a championship ring. And he says part of it is due to the fact that the listeners of the show harangued the Red Sox on Twitter to give him a ring.
Oh, that's great.
At your behest.
At my behest. They bothered the Red Sox, and then somebody was just like, fine, what the Oregon guy, just get him a ring so they can
stop.
A bone. Yeah, they can stop clogging the Twitter about give him a ring. So, look, I'm very happy to be associated with that. And then Josh played the Best Show theme at that final World Series game that year in the stadium. He played at like the fifth inning of the World Series game. He played the theme from this show.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's like
if I recall correctly, you did, I think it was just the day before you had announced that you were going to stop your WFMU run. So it was sort of like a timely, fortuitously timed tribute to that. So I like doing those kinds of things.
It was
something's in the news just to play a song that evokes it. So.
It was very nice. So cool. You are what now? You are calling to say something mean about the Royals? Is that why you're calling?
Oh, no. I have a lot of respect for the Royals. I think they're a likable team. They're not my favorite team, but they're a good team. And I liked what their manager said the other day because I guess the Royals fans are really kind of stuffing the ballot box for the All-Star game.
Oh, they're voting a lot, yeah.
And the Royals, the metaphorical ballot box, it's all done online these days, but the manager was asked about it and whether it should be considered controversial, and he basically said, if you don't like it, you can vote, and you can vote online, and you can vote lots of times. So
yeah.
I thought that was a very sensible position to take on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's...
Now, how about, do you know Gronk, Josh? Do you know Gronk?
I know of him, and I heard a story secondhand the other day about someone talking about sharing a plane ride with him.
Because I'm reading online, I just want to warn you, you're in Boston right now?
I am, yeah.
There's a report coming in that he has escaped, and he is on the loose. Gronk has escaped his confines, and he's terrorizing Boston right now. So, watch out. He's currently climbing the, that guy, did you see that book? Somebody wrote like erotic Gronk fan fiction. There's a book on Amazon.
Oh my God, no.
It's called A Gronking to Remember. Well, now I'm going to read you the bio. It's a real testament to where I'm at that I didn't have to type all of it into Amazon. I just had to type in AMA, and then one of the things that showed up when you scroll down to was the customer reviews for A Gronking to Remember. Shorthand over here. It's a book called A Gronking to Remember by Lacey Noonan. Lee has a serious problem, and it's driving a spike, and that's in quotes, to be fair to her, she knew, between her and her husband, Dan. When Lee wanders into the room where her husband and his friends are watching a football game, her life changes forever. Because at that exact moment, NFL's one-man wrecking ball, Rob Gronkowski of the New England Patriots, scores a touchdown and does his patented Gronk spike, his notorious monster smashing of a football. When the football shoots into the stratosphere goes 15 feet.
Yeah,
The stratosphere. Yeah. Lee's heart goes a pitter-patter. Look, if you're wondering whether this woman knows how to write, she uses a pitter-patter to describe what happens. Lee's heart goes a pitter-patter, and she becomes seriously turned on. Now, normally sheepish Lee can't stop thinking about it. She'd never given a second thought to football, but now the primal power of the Gronk spike and this raw monster of a man, Rob Gronkowski, is all that she wants, and she'll stop at nothing until the romance of a lifetime is hers. Find out the lengths people will go to fulfill their fantasies in this super sexy, sex-filled story of wanton lust with a super sexy, sex-filled happy ending. This is the Gronk book.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a bestseller in New England.
Well,
do you think Gronk's read it?
That's an excellent
question.
I
think that might. Do you think Gronk is all the way to Z at this point? Do we know how deep into the alphabet he's gotten at this point?
That's true.
He's coming up on R.
Maybe this is a series that every team has with their tight ends.
They just we got
fan fiction with Martellus Bennett.
Right, there's a template for it, and then you just
plug it.
When I saw Jimmy Graham spike that ball, it shot into the stratosphere.
The stratosphere would just...
First of all, a football, the way it's shaped, it goes off to the left or the right anyway. It doesn't really go high up.
No, the stratosphere. Oh, Gronk. Look, I like that guy. Make sure did you see his Deflategate? He did this Deflategate video where he's like, and he was like, he's like, this isn't deflated, and he's like flexing, and it's like, it's funny, and then suddenly you're like, well, this guy seems like he could demolish, like I don't want to irk Gronk.
Yeah.
On the, like, it'd be like hitting the inverse lottery, where it's just like, hey, Gronk found out about that dumb radio show, and he decided he wants to murder that guy, and he's coming to look for you now because
he and Tony Danza are splitting a rental car.
Yeah, Gronk just
coming to find you
to Aaron Hernandez. Then you're just like, wait a minute, this dude hung out with Aaron Hernandez a lot. I don't think I want what? Gronk just got some tips from Aaron Hernandez. He's coming to New Jersey. Oh no. So Josh. Anything else?
Well, I was thinking about that this show that Paul and I did together last year, and he probably recalls it was at a strange venue. It was like a giant Masonic temple in Manhattan, and I got roped in because they had a giant pipe organ there. So I was called at the last minute. They said, "Hey, why don't you come down and play this pipe organ?" And I was recruited ostensibly to just sort of play, like, before the show started as people are arriving. And I was like, well, yeah, I can do that. That's what I do at the baseball games, that's a piece of cake. But because it was a John Hodgman type event, I thought, well, this might be a slightly different crowd than a baseball crowd. And, so I was, I was playing some different kinds of songs that I would normally play at a baseball game. And I remember at one point I played a Lou Reed song, and I cannot remember which song, but I got a vivacious applause from this audience for playing some cover of some Lou Reed deep cut on the on this pipe organ, and that's kind of my lasting memory from that event, because I couldn't really think of any
What
other.
was the Lou Reed song? What song was it?
I can't remember now which song it was, honestly. It would have been probably one from his early solo period, because those are the ones I tend to know best. But I just remember thinking, like, oh, I'll try this one. It'll be a little crazy. And then I played it, and for whatever reason...
It's the Hodgman crowd. It lands with the Hodgman crowd.
Yeah, the Hodgman crowd. That's absolutely what happened.
Yep.
My nemesis. Hi, this is Mike. I've stepped in for Tom briefly.
Oh, right. You're right. You and Hodgman have a conflict.
Yeah, when we did a music video together, Hodgman insulted my luggage.
Right.
Yes, and it's been a long-standing beef with us. And he gave me an orange briefcase. Never again, right?
Never again. I will end the show if I have to take a break like that. Mike, I'm sorry about that, Paul. No. I'm sorry about that, Josh.
That's it.
Okay, but I'm still moving on here. Let's wrap it up here. Best show, you're on the air.
Good day, Tom. Good day, Paul. How are you?
Oh, where are you calling from? I know who this is. You're calling from Tasmania.
I'll tell you, but not Tasmania. Sorry.
Okay. Your phone's not good tonight. It sounds like we're talking to an astronaut.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Dan from Australia.
Dan from Australia. What's going on tonight, Dan?
I was just excited for Ant-Man and just wanted to tell Paul I was looking forward to it, and I'm glad that they decided to make that the next one when they did, because I thought he had it's a really cool power.
Ah, right on, man. Thanks. It is. I must say, it sounds like you hear these things and like, Ant-Man, huh? Okay, all right. I don't know anything about Ant-Man, and you think when you're like, all right, shrinks and you talk to ants, but then when you start to really think about it, and then when you see it in this movie, it's incredible. It really is like you're invisible.
Well, it's like an adventure story too, which is like it's like it gets to be a few things in one, where it's a superhero thing, but it's also
and it also looks insane, especially after all of these movies where there's so many things that are just outer space. It's on such a grand scale. Now it's just shrunk down to its smallest size.
And they built. There's no CGI. It's a no CGI movie.
There's no CGI.
It's
all practical.
So they built everything.
They had a macro. They had a macro photography unit that shot really huge practical props. So it looks it looks microscopic.
So it was like it's like Lily Tomlin when she'd be in the giant rocking chair.
In the giant chair.
Just what if that was the movie and then people were like, boo!
I expected the technology would have made this better.
It's just like, it's like, and then it ends with you with all of the money that you saved from it. Just like, we made this for $200,000.
We built that giant pencil.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a pencil. It's chasing Ant-Man or something.
No, but Dan, I think you'll. I hope you like it. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm glad that you're excited about it. It's nice to know. It's nice to hear from people that are like jazzed to check it out.
Yeah. Is this the first super CGI thing you've done?
Yeah, for sure.
Like everything else was just you.
Well, it was the first time I had one of those suits on that had ping pong balls on it, and I was feeling like Andy Serkis.
Okay,
where I would be surrounded by about 40 different cameras, and then I had to kind of roll around, and it's like, oh, watch out for that shoe, and I'd duck out of the way. I just kind of pretend all that kind of stuff was happening, and it was a really interesting, exhausting, by the way, really tiring exercise, rolling around so much to dodge shoes
in a unitard.
In a unitard,
yeah.
Yeah. Actually, they've really upgraded. It isn't just ping pong balls now. Now it's like these reflective circles.
Okay.
And you're kind of like an Eric Heiden speed skating suit. It wraps around your head and everything. But it's amazing. You look at the setup and think, wow, how did somebody invent this?
I can't wait. Neither can Dan in Australia, right?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, we get it. How many times am I going to beat that drum? Best show, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Carlos from North Texas.
Carlos in North Texas. I've never heard of where in North Texas?
Denton, just north of Dallas.
Okay. What's going on, Carlos?
Just listening to your show. Enjoying it. Just have a question for Paul.
Go ahead.
I noticed that you're the writer, one of the writers in the Ant-Man movie, and for me, I thought that was like a first for a big Hollywood action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I'm sorry I was on the edge of giving you the business, Carlos. That's a good question, right? Because you have written things you co-wrote role models.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a few things, but never, and nothing like this.
Yeah.
Well, it was not anything that I had originally planned to do or was hired to do. It became a thing of, Edgar had written the script with Joe Cornish, who's another a great writer and a great director. He did this movie Attack the Block, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And Marvel wanted to go in a bit of a different direction. They wanted to work from that script, but that they had also had another writer. They had some other ideas, and it just became kind of a lot of ideas that needed to be wrangled. And then I had some new ideas after Edgar left, and then Adam came in, McKay, and then he and I rethought the whole thing, and then got hired to write it. So it was really just kind of necessity, really, and so that's how it kind of came about. And I had never written action like this. However, kind of like what you were saying before, where it's if you write comedy, you kind of get a sense of how all of these things work, and just basic storytelling when you're talking about character and character arcs and dramatic tension and all of that. It didn't feel like I was trying to write something that was so unfamiliar, even though I was writing some things that I had never written before.
Yeah. I mean, but it's still that thing that I guess you had just been living with it for so long that you...
And there are certain sequences, like action sequences, where Marvel's going to have a say, and some of their post-production department is going to, add things and come up with things that are almost tough to write. So there was a little bit of a safety net there.
Okay. Ant Dance? Is there an Ant Dance in it?
There's
credits,
there's an ant dance. It's all in silhouette, and it's a lot of ants come out.
Okay.
And then
cameo filled.
Cameo filled, and actually Cameo does the sound, does the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's
Larry Blackman.
Larry Blackman's back.
He's back.
Does Ant-Man start off on his fade?
Yeah. It's just you think, wait a minute, is he still going? His Larry Blackman's flat top looks extra high in silhouette. Is that can't possibly be? Oh no, it's a bunch of ants, and then ants disperse, and you realize he's got his normal size flat top, and then the rest of the ants get down, and then yeah.
And what cameos are in it? Sully Sullenberger.
Sully Sullenberger's in it, and
Entourage crew.
Not the entire Entourage crew. Just Turtle is in it.
Just Turtle.
And Johnny Drama.
Okay.
And we've got, this was really fun, Wink Martindale.
Okay.
I got something like, just kind of like a game show host, kind of got Trebek in there.
Sure.
Just a few of them. And then...
is there any thought behind why you get a bunch of game show hosts?
No, it just seemed like a fun kind of different idea. We got
like a summit of game show hosts.
We got Charlie Morgan in there. He's coming in.
Charlie Morgan. He's going to come shut it down.
He's going to shut it down because we set the entire credit sequence in the parking lot of a Duane Reade. And
yeah, so. That's the closing credits.
Yeah.
Or that's not in the. What if that was just in the middle of the movie, like intermission?
Yeah, it's like kind of an intermission.
Yeah.
Where we decided we're going very avant-garde with this. We've done our closing credits in the middle of the movie. So we probably need to get that out there so people don't think it's really over.
Just so it's going to be and who doesn't love when there's a thing that you go to see and then there have to be all these like explanations or qualifiers put on it before you see it. Before you see it, it's just want to let you know. Like there was like at certain movie, like I saw a movie theater in New Jersey when Tree of Life was playing.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a description put under the thing basically saying, this is a very arty movie and it's just got a lot of stuff basically saying like, hey dummies, hey you dummies might not be able to hang with this thing. You guys are stupid. Maybe you should go see something that's stupid instead of this thing because this is a smart thing. We got stupid stuff playing here too. Go see a stupid thing. But it was like this
disclaimer for being artistic.
Yeah, like this movie is very artistic, has long scenes and is very meditative, and it's just like, is this where we're at now? Or like, what is this thing?
I had done when I was doing a play in. This is different, but it reminds me of it. I was doing a play in London. They called it Shape of Things. It was this Neil LaBute play.
Sure.
And we did this play, and we didn't do a curtain call. The play just ended. It was an awful, like, gut punch of an ending. And then the lights just came up, and people were waiting for us to come out and take a bow. We just didn't do it. And then they had to get shuffled out. And it left people with a very uneasy feeling. And Neil LaBute would say, like, why do we have to do a curtain call? Where is that law written?
Yeah.
And in the press, it became a big deal. And so then he started doing this thing where he thought, what if we just pick out of a hat a yes or a no right before the end of the show, and we do random curtain calls, because he thought it would be funny, which it is. If anyone on the street ran into somebody else and said, oh, I saw that play. Isn't it weird they didn't do a curtain call? And they're like, what are you talking about? It was a curtain call.
Really funny.
And so we started doing that, and then he wrote up like a proclamation, then hung it in the lobby of the theater, saying, you know, a lot has been written about the fact that this show doesn't have a curtain call. We are now incorporating random curtain calls. Please, no, this has nothing to do with you. Please do not adjust the level of your applause. Like a really kind of pompous, long-winded explanation that was solely to amuse him. We would watch people reading it from the behind the curtain, laughing the entire time, and he would quote it, going, "Don't adjust the level of your applause." It's so ridiculous.
That is so funny. Oh my God, that is so great. Now we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming down, Paul. This has been just a total blast.
Pleasure. I had a great time.
Now, so Ant-Man is July 17th.
July 17th,
and what is the rest of the year like for you?
Well, I don't really know. I will be starting the kind of Ant-Man promotion tour, which is exciting. It's nice to do it and actually be really psyched about it, because I do want, I hope people see it and stuff. But that'll go until it comes out, and then I'm not really sure. I might be doing another independent little movie later in the year, but it's not really set up yet or anything, so I don't know if that'll even happen. So okay. I don't really know.
Well, that's good. You're going to be on the Ant-Man promo machine.
Yeah.
Slurpee cups and
that's right.
Ant-Man
everything. Ant-Man Lego sets.
That's awesome.
Oh, that is the coolest. I'm so psyched about that.
Yeah. Is there? It's weird. Is there any fast food thing? Because it's just like kind of like do we want ants all over our food?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, is there like a tie-in to it?
Because for like Ratatouille...
Ant meals.
Because Ratatouille was kind of like... They're like...
Rats.
Well, we kind of can't... I don't know if we want all this rat imagery all over this Burger King.
You know what? Yeah. Let's go with the Inside Out Happy Meals instead.
I think we're gonna sit Ratatouille.
Ant burgers.
Yeah. Just no ant burgers. So, and the thing this weekend in Kansas City, again, it's called...
Big Slick.
Okay.
Yeah, it originally started as like a poker tournament, which is Big Slick is a poker tournament, but now it's bowling. So
okay,
it's a Big Slick lane.
Sure,
and it's bigslickkc.org. Will kind of give you a little bit of its history, and it goes to there's this hospital. It doesn't turn any kids away. It's amazing. They do a lot of really great cancer research there, and it's an amazing hospital that just happens to be in Kansas City, and kind of provides care for lots of kids in surrounding states. It's amazing, and it's all privately funded to kind of do what they do. They need to be. They don't have any kind of. They're not part of any sort of insurance network.
That's fantastic.
It's great.
It's really great.
They're amazing.
Oh, thanks again for coming by.
Thank you.
Can't thank you enough. And we're going to say good night, and I'll play something by on Trouble in Mind Records. It's by Klaus Johann Grobe. It's a song called Nick Du Stoppen. And we will be back next Tuesday. And thanks, everybody, for listening. All right, and listen to this, and good night.